Well, hello.
Hello, everyone.
Good to
Good
be
to
back
see
streaming.
everyone. Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's been a while.
It has been a while
Yeah,
between Clash stuff and sick and poor Myrtle. He was going to join us today, but
no,
he said last minute that he did like kind of a voice test on himself and he couldn't get through a sentence without coughing.
poor
This strep
Myrtle.
has really kicked his ass for the last
Yeah,
several weeks.
poor Myrtle. So wish him well. Hopefully, he'll be better soon because I will not be here next week because I'll
Mm,
be in Wisconsin. So I mean, unless Steven wants to stream alone or with another guest. I mean, he could have another guest, but
that's an option. Alone is not an option.
it
Not sitting
alone
up here.
streaming alone is not as fun. I will agree with that. It's nice to have a co-host. So
Yeah, you feel too self-conscious up here by yourself and it's like there's so much silence, but I have to like think and stuff and I can't
I
think
don't
and talk at the
I
same
don't feel
time.
self-conscious, but like it's just twice the talking. Like it's just
Yeah,
twice the work and
that
it's
too.
nice to have at least two people keep an eye on chat because yeah. So, but anyways, yeah, I wouldn't want to stream alone either. It's not that fun. So, well, hi everyone. It was so nice to meet so many of you at the Clash. I had a
Oh
really,
yeah.
really good time. It was great giving all those talks. I mean, I wish I'd gotten to hang out with people more, but by the end of the night, like, I mean, we were just spent because it wasn't just giving talks. It's like immediately after the talk, like, there are a lot of people who want to, like, talk a lot afterwards about the talk and
Mm-hmm.
which is great because I really want to help people, right? And there's some people who don't watch YouTube. So a lot of this was new to them and I'm new to them. And so, if they have more questions, I want to answer them. But I was just spent by the end of it. And, you know, yeah. So, yes, I am coming. I'm coming to see Foxanne next week. Yes, I'm going to see her next week.
Nice.
And for at least a good long afternoon.
And Jenna's got
And
a question for you. Does Kelly have plans to return to the Clash but just have fun and not have to work?
yeah, and I would also speak again if asked. I mean, I really had a good time. I did have a really good time,
So
and Jake had fun too. I mean, probably they're not going to have the same speakers 2 years in a row. That would be silly.
it probably depends on like who's back by popular demand. But and Rico will be listening. So I was going to say you did two talks, but really you did
I
four
did
because two of them were panel
I did
discussions.
4. Yeah, the panel chats were more freewheeling and
Uh-huh.
there wasn't as much work to prepare for them. I just sent Ted Coletti some pictures because he wanted to have slides and he put that together. And then that was more freewheeling. And Rico did such a good job monitoring the rainbow chat. That was I feel really smart for thinking of doing that. It was good thinking of me. But
I
that
was
one we didn't prepare for. So, but the other ones, I spent time putting those together and making
Rico
sure
makes a good moderator.
he makes a great moderator. He's everything you want in a moderator. So, he's
I was so mad that I missed that the tubbing chat
oh yeah,
because our
it was
stupid
fun.
dinner was an hour late being delivered, so I missed the whole thing. Like the plan was that dinner was going to arrive and I was going to like scarf down half of it and then go down to the panel chat and then go finish it the next like after an hour or so. Nope.
So you're lucky, I was lucky because I ate at that restaurant too, and I must have gotten there a bit before you because I'm like, oh God, I gotta speak. I need to get my
We
dinner
ordered
too.
delivery from someplace.
Oh, you were okay. Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
ate at the hotel restaurant. That took long enough. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
We ordered delivery from I don't even remember the name of it, but I got the spaghetti because I like spaghetti, but that was not good spaghetti. So I was extra mad. It's
Man,
like, man, and the food sucks. All right.
that sucks. Yeah, I mean, we just stayed at the hotel restaurant the first time because I had no time because, like, I got done with the last talk because I can't remember who's. I think it was Bentley. Yeah, Bentley had the last talk, so I went to his talk, and then I had to give a talk later, and there just wasn't much time in between, so that's why we ended up at the hotel restaurant. But the second night we went out with Dan for dinner. We took him out, and that was really nice. We spent a good long hour and a half hanging out with Dan, so that was cool because I hadn't gotten to meet him before. So yeah.
Oh, that was your first time meeting Dan. That's right.
Yeah, I know. So it
You
was
talked
great.
to him before, but yeah, you haven't actually met in
Right.
physicality.
It was great. We had a great time and Jake really liked him too. So that was nice. So Nathan says, please read so Rico can hear. Thank you so very much, Rico, for sending that wooden sticker with Richard for me. The wood is perfect. Thank you again. You are amazing. Well, consider it delivered.
I got some Rico wood, and I was strategic because I knew I can't pack much. So he
Yes.
had like little pieces that have very tiny vine-like sticks coming off of it. And I figured I could just take a whole bunch of those, Frankenstein them together, and make like a nanoscape out of that. So I got plans for that eventually. Once I
Nice.
catch
That's
up on work,
exciting.
I have not caught up on work.
Yeah, I've
I have,
seen other people have had pictures of that wood and it looked really cool. I didn't get any of it. I'm not really into scaping with wood. I prefer rocks.
right.
But that
So
doesn't mean
Bob
I don't
Mennel
appreciate it.
said, "Was great hearing your talks. Did you get to meet Bob?"
Oh, I believe so, yes. Because he was in my talks. Like if you were in my talks, I'd probably go to
Nice.
you and talk to
So
you.
I met him and then didn't realize that I met him until he left, because when people approach me and talk to me, I make the assumption that it's me who doesn't recognize your face because I'm terrible with faces. Unless I'm seeing you stream all the time, I don't know. I'm really bad with remembering faces. And so after he left, I was like, okay, Jenna, so who was that? Because I figured, Jenna, we're supposed to know who that is, right?
And
No,
I always assume the opposite. I always assume they've seen me on Wet Your Plants, or they saw me speak at the Clash, and I don't know them because I've never seen their face. So,
but anyway, it was good to meet you,
yeah,
Bob. I just didn't know that I was meeting you at the time.
yeah, I met a lot of really cool people, and hopefully, some people are gonna start like tuning into this show and maybe catching some other streams from other Fishfam members, watching other content. I tried to be a real like ambassador for the good parts of YouTube. It's
Mhm.
not all just clickbait, like see if we can torture this fish, will it live? No, it's not just about that. There are people who are
Yeah,
out there presenting good content.
I
So
feel like some of the people there who aren't in the YouTube really do have that mentality. I, I
great.
liked I like that in your CO2 talk, I think it was, people actually took out their phones and took pictures of the slide that was like, we do this stream on Mondays. So
Yeah.
hopefully some of those people are here. If
I
so,
hope so
welcome.
too. Yeah, if you're lurking, it was awesome to have you at my talk. And, if you get up the courage, go ahead and chat. We love to have new people here and we love questions from all levels. So, yeah,
Oh,
so that was cool.
Alishon totally dodged us last year. Didn't meet him. This time he approached me and then separately approached Jenna because
He approached me also, so I did
good.
get to meet Alishon. So
So
that was
basically
wonderful.
it takes 1 year and then you get to meet Alishon.
I mean, I got to meet him my first year. I feel very thrilled, actually. So that was nice. And I saw Oinky in the chat. What a thrill was it to meet her? I mean, what
Hmm.
a delight. And I'm just such a
I'm
wonderful
glad I
person.
got to hang out with her a lot more this year too.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, I did get to hang out with her a little bit, which was wonderful. So, it feels just like I didn't get to hang out with many people. I mean, got to hang out
Mhm.
with Steven and Jenna. I got to hang out with Annette. I got to hang out with Dan. Other than
Yeah.
that, it was just little bits here and there. So,
I think that Rainbow Fish Talk also made a very good impression on YouTube because it was 3 people on like from YouTube and the panel. It was very entertaining and
right.
fun, super informative. And then towards the end, we kind of got to talk about like, this is what Fish Fam is. If you're interested, like
Yeah.
if you like this panel talk and you want to do it again, then if you go to Fishfam streams, it's kind of like that, except you're
Exactly.
in a chat and you're
Yeah.
watching people on a screen
Yeah, and that was an awesome thing because I just, I want people to know that there are corners of YouTube with good people giving good content. And yes, there are channels out there doing bad things, and they do get clicks,
Mhm.
and it's a big place. There's lots of good content too. So yeah, and Dee Dee points out most of the speakers this year have huge YouTube channels. Yeah, I
Right.
have like no YouTube channel really. I mean, I have like 150 subscribers. Like, I had the least. Then there's like Bentley and Prime
Mm.
Time. I did not get to see either of his talks. I mean, his channel is huge. So
Yeah, I missed his, but it was the morning,
we're in
so
the morning. I know.
no.
I didn't want to go to morning talks either. And I miss Jen Williams. And I'm so glad I finally got to meet Jen Williams because, I hadn't gotten to meet her yet. And she is so cool and she is so smart. And I hope I get to hang out with her more. And, she couldn't go to my talks because she was running the aquascaping competition. So it feels like we're always ships passing in the night, the two of us, but
Mhm.
we did get to talk some, and that was really cool because she's super
So
knowledgeable. So
Jenna mentioned in chat already that we did win a raffle, which I never win raffles, so
you
that was cool.
did. I'm
Yep.
excited for you. Yeah.
I put a lot of tickets. I mean, when I say win, I mean like I brute forced that RODI unit because I bought $60 worth of raffle tickets and I put a good bit into the RODI. So
I
I
think,
paid $60 for a 200 something dollar RODI unit,
that's
essentially.
a bargain. I had
Yeah.
some raffle tickets because I sponsored the aquascaping competition, and I think I put some in there too, but I wasn't at the awards thing or the raffle. So if I won anything, I would never have known. They would have gone to someone else.
Mhm.
So, but that's fine because we were having dinner with Dan, and
There
we
was
all
a
made it right.
redraw or two, so maybe you did win
Yeah,
something.
maybe. I mean, most of them. I think I put some in the RODI. I put some in nano tanks because I thought, well, I don't
Yeah.
necessarily want nano tanks, but they're good gifts for people or my nephews.
The other thing that I did in order to win that RODI unit was drunkenly put it out to the universe that if I did win, that part of my use for the RODI water would be to do a salt tank.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you and me and Denny, who just popped into chat. She says she's mildly
Mildly
doped up.
doped
Did you just
up.
have dental work? Maybe I'm guessing,
Hmm.
possibly. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. Yeah. But anyways, maybe the three of us need to do it together. I mean,
Yeah. I
no.
haven't looked into it whatsoever, other than Gina sent me stocking lists that I guess I don't know if she like tried to err on the cheap side or not, but it, if anyone who says salt water is as cheap as fresh water, you're
Oh, it's not.
lying.
It's not.
Even if
I
you can't
mean,
even say it's a little bit more expensive, it is a lot
yeah,
more
and
expensive.
people who complain about how much money a plant is
Oh my god!
compared
This
to
was
a coral.
no corals, just fish. Like dwarf seahorses was on the list. I mean, individually they're not that bad, but it's kind of like everything is like the price of an expensive rainbow at baseline or higher.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could keep speaking of salt and rainbow adjacent, you could keep Pseudomagil cyanodorsalis, which is a nice little fish, pretty cheap, breeds
So
like
here's
rabbits.
another but here's another rule that I want to follow is that I don't want to keep anything that can also be kept in fresh.
You can't keep them in fresh.
I've read that you can and
No,
that a lot of people have.
no,
So I want to
they
look into
won't
that
breed.
more. They
They
won't
will
breed
not
in
breed.
fresh.
Nope, they will not breed, and they
Mm,
don't last as long. They can go full salt or they can go brackish.
brackish. Okay.
Yeah,
So
no,
that might be an option. But like
and they are
mollies, I'm
the
not gonna
best
do.
looking. They're the best looking Pseudomagil by far.
Sweet.
By far. Yeah.
Geek says surely saltwater psychopaths would not fib about how much money they spend.
It's almost like I mean, one thing I don't like about the saltwater hobby, and this is just an outsider's impression, and it is certainly not true of even some of my friends who keep it, but it's
Hmm.
kind of a real dick measuring contest about like how much tech you have and how much you spend per frag. And like, I'm really not into that. I mean, I'm glad we know people who obviously aren't like that, like Gina,
Yeah.
who's really smart and thoughtful and
Yeah. People in
also wasn't
Fishfam
minded.
do a good job of bridging the gap between salt and fresh without it being like an elitism
Right.
issue.
But it's kind
But
of one of those hobbies where it's like he who has the most tech wins, few
I like
dive,
tech. I mean, I could definitely get into that.
Right.
It's expensive, and I don't know if I want to allocate that much money to that yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. With every piece of technology, I always ask myself, like, will this make me happier? You know,
Oh, if I asked myself that, I would just be like, yes, 1,000 times yes, let's do it.
I mean, sometimes technology does make me happier, like CO2 makes me happier,
Hmm.
but sometimes it doesn't necessarily. Dee Dee likes my PhD terms. A real dick measuring contest.
Yeah, I mean, it can be for sure.
Yeah.
They got a bunch of coral bros at Aqua
Yeah.
Show.
I mean, but I do love the biology of a saltwater aquarium because I think they're really cool organisms and the fish are really beautiful.
Mhm.
And I think macroalgae are really cool looking too, which is what I would do. And I think the inverts are like, man, saltwater tanks just have the inverts hands down. They're way better. The shrimps are cooler. The snails are better. Like they're just all around. They have those cool
Yeah,
like clams that glow in the dark. I don't even know anything about them. The inverts are just they're really awesome. So I mean
I
you could
could
only
totally
have
see myself doing
inverts.
that. I could see myself doing like inverts and macroalgae,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I just have to do research, and that's going to be one of those like after Christmas things because first of all, there's like the financial recovery from the clash
For
followed
sure.
immediately by Christmas.
Yeah, I mean for
So
me, like I feel like all I've been doing is traveling lately, which is
mm,
not an illusion. I mean, and I'm leaving town again next week, and because I own my own business, if I'm not working, I'm making $0. So it's like, ah, damn it. I need to bill some hours. So,
so yeah, Coro says macroalgae jar. Stephen, do it. I think if I'm gonna do, which I've decided, I might as well step out of my comfort zone and do salt just for the hell of it, without like being overly committed to it. Because I mean, let's be honest, I have an RO system now. A lot of that RO water is going to be going to my Cory tanks and maybe even planted tanks.
well, and you could also keep different fish, or I mean,
Hmm.
different shrimp.
Oh
That
yeah,
maybe
yeah, I already
aren't
do that with
available to us.
distilled anyway, so that'll just make it
Yeah,
a little bit
and
more convenient.
yeah, I mean, so that would be really cool. And I'm not sure. And I have a place for the tank. I mean, directly across from this one. So where I'm streaming, this is my kitchen table, and directly on the other side would be where I would put that tank, and it is right next to the bathroom. So it's just like, where would I put the water? Like, where would I put the RO water? I mean, I do
I'm
have a
facing that too.
closet.
Yeah.
Do have a closet that I could clear out and store water in. I don't know. I mean, Jake and I would just have to talk about it. I don't know. Or I mean,
Yeah.
I would maybe wait until I bought a different house, or I don't know. It's a lot of
I thought you were gonna
indecision.
wait for a different house just because, like,
Yeah, I don't know.
moving another big ass tank like that. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and that's
so
that's the other thing too. Nobody wants to do that. So, Cosman, there's a name I do not recognize.
so
Welcome.
Cosman was someone from the Clash. First saw him in our chat on Friday night when we were streaming from the Fish Tuber Lounge,
Nice.
and I don't remember his full name. But Jenna knows. Jenna looked at made all the badges for the Clash, so she like has this amazing memory of names. I guess some
Well,
that stand out to her.
Well, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And yes, every hobby has a group of people doing the measuring contest. The fish world is no different. Yeah, so true. Jake is
Oh
into
yeah,
high end stereos, and yeah, I mean it's yeah,
right.
it's a thing too. And it doesn't have to be about that.
So how would I measure salinity if I were to set up the saltwater aquarium? So, oh yeah, I also want to mention like I'm going to do it in a 20 tall. Like that's the level I'm going to start at. Gina says that's kind of like the minimum she would recommend without it just being a complete nightmare to maintain water chemistry.
Yeah,
So,
bigger is easier for saltwater tanks. Like, well, and true with freshwater tanks too. I mean, honestly, I don't think I will ever have a tank under 40 gallons ever again. I don't find it very enjoyable personally. But
I
refractometer,
man, nano tanks can look really good though.
they sure can, but damn it, the bigger ones are easier. They're so stable.
They are easier.
Stable. And I don't know. I'm more interested in bigger tanks than more tanks.
So how would I measure salinity with a hygrometer thingy?
A
Refractometer.
refractometer is the thing you use, and they are very inexpensive
Okay.
and they're simple to use.
Well, then I guess I'll be getting one of those too.
It's part of it. I mean, I've never used one before. This is all secondhand knowledge, but that's what people use are refractometers.
I'm trying to avoid getting too much extra equipment. So like I verified like I can use I can use my my AquaClear.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. A refractometer is a few bucks. It's cheap. It's kind of a baseline thing you need to get. Kind of like a drop checker, you know, it's a baseline cheap thing, but it makes your life better. So CoralWorks says you can use something. What if you get a well-made reservoir, but you paint it like a mushroom or something to disguise it? I mean, it would still be like, where is that giant mushroom going to go? I don't know what a well-made reservoir is, but I'm assuming it's large enough. But I mean, it's still like, where am I going to put it? You know, that's still the thing. A giant mushroom in the house would look cool, though. I will agree with that. Yeah, and CoralWorks says you can either use a hygrometer or refractometer. A hygrometer is way old school. Most people usually use refractometers now, at least from what I've been told. But they are not expensive, and they are not.
I don't know the difference. Yeah. So yeah, this could turn into a salt stream, which I mean, there obviously people in chat are like not fans of salt, so don't want to spend too much time on that topic. But it'll be something
you use them because they are more precise.
Nice.
And they are not expensive. They are not.
I imagine next year, like beginning of next year, will be whenever I'm starting to like ask all the salt questions to everybody over and over, just because I'll forget. So we did have a topic because
we do have a topic, and it's not salt.
It's not salt. It's not salt because the opposite.
Plants hate sodium. They hate it. They like potassium. That's why whenever people, it drives me nuts when they're putting like brine shrimp into their aquariums and they're like, oh, and I don't rinse it because, you know, the plants like the minerals. Well, no, they don't. Like maybe it doesn't hurt them because it's not enough of a concentration to bother them. But plants hate sodium ions. They love potassium. They do not like sodium. They do not use it. So, anyways, that was a digression. Back to our topic.
Yeah. Like I said, it's the opposite of salt, and it's freshwater plants. So I actually judged the plant class at the Clash this year, and I've never judged anything like that before. And so approaching judging plants for the first time. There's a rubric, like there are 4 different criteria for the plants, and I'm trying to remember what they were. I know one of them was just like healthy growth, like nothing stunted or anything.
No
the other
brown tips.
Right. The other one was that they look, I guess, cleanliness, I think, was one of them, as in like they're not all chewed up, they're not covered with algae
or mulm.
Yeah.
Please pick the algae off your plant before you enter it in the show.
Well, luckily that wasn't an issue, but that, I mean, that would certainly be something I would pay attention to if I were just like blind judging plants without any kind of criteria. Coloration was one, and then I'm totally
Mm.
forgetting. I'm blanking
You know
on
what
the
I
fourth
would look
one.
for? Like if it's a stem plant, I don't want to see long spindly internodes because that would mean they're not getting good light or good CO2 and they're just desperately
Hmm.
reaching for what they need. So, you
Right.
want like thick, dense, bushy growth. So that's something I would look for. I did not judge the plants or the rainbows because I was too damn busy. So they had me just doing other things.
So I went around my fish room and took pictures of plants, none of which I would say is the perfect specimen, but I have like examples of plants doing
Mm.
different things in different scenarios, like different
Let's judge
environments.
you. Let's judge
And
you.
so, yeah, so what I wanted to know
Mm.
is like if something looks good but it was not grown with CO2, do
It's
you judge
difficult.
do you judge it based on how you know it would look with CO2, or do you judge it just
I
because
think
like based
I
on
mean,
that it
I think
looks
I
good?
judge
Like,
the plant in front of me, and you know, it takes what it takes to get a plant looking its very best, and what it
right.
takes is often CO2. Now, if you are blessed enough to have KH of like 1, maybe you can do that without. But like you have to judge what comes to you. Just like if I were judging the fish show, I'm not gonna be like, well, they didn't have access to like baby brine shrimp. They only could feed prepared foods. It's like, no, you judge what's in front of you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. So this is just kind of like looking at the tank from a distance. Everything looks okay. Like the Java fern here is new, so
Mm.
like it. I'm just putting it in there. But like then let's say we zoom up on this Hygro Cornbosa
That's
compacta.
a pretty good clump. I mean, it's hard for me to tell from the screen. Okay, enhance. Well, it's got some pinholes,
Hmm.
but here would be my suggestion is
You
before you
trim
would
it off.
enter that, yep, just go through and groom it, just trim it up.
Yeah.
And
Take the legs.
apparently like
Take the legs off of it too.
yeah, so I'm really into dahlias, which are a flower that people grow from tubers, and there are just thousands of cultivars, and they're very popular to show them. And before they will show a flower, they will go through the petals, and each dahlia will have hundreds of petals, and they'll just pull off ones that don't look perfect, and you don't even notice. So you would want to
Hmm.
groom what you
Yeah.
entered. And I think with a
So
bit of light grooming, that is a nice specimen. It has nice compact inner nodes. It has good looking foliage, good color. It's not brown at the tips. It's not bad. I mean, yeah.
and then this is like Java Fern that's come out of a low tech environment and is going to be put in a high tech environment. And
Yeah.
so there was a Java Fern there that was looked like it had been growing for a very long time, but it had all of the signs of growing in low tech because
Yeah.
it
And
didn't
it's
have
just
all
not
the
the best.
nutrients.
And I just know how good a Java fern can look with CO2. And they look completely different. I mean, to grow
Yeah.
really great looking Java ferns, I don't think low KH will cut it. I think you do need CO2 to grow really great ones. Now, can you grow Java ferns? For sure. But if you
Hmm.
want show quality Java ferns, I think you need CO2.
So then I've got this crypt, what's it called, Tropica, that is very large. It's been growing for a long time.
It's a nice
So the
specimen.
other criteria was like I saw plants that looked young, but they looked good, but they were young. So like this Tropica started off like about that high, just a little
Yeah,
tough to
I mean,
plant.
of the things that I see in your tank, I guess I would probably judge the crypt clump the most favorably because to me it indicates that you've had a setup for a long time and that crypt has been healthy and happy for a long time. It hasn't melted
Hmm.
back. Like you're doing something right and it does look good. I mean, it's attractive. I'm a crypt junkie. I mean,
Yep. So I did
You
take
know,
some pictures of other crypts. So I kind of zoomed up and it's like, yeah,
yeah,
there's some like old leaves here with some algae on them.
yeah,
But that
it's
would be something I would probably look for before I
you could
submitted
trim
the
off,
plant.
but overall, it's pretty good looking. Now, if you had competition that had like, I don't know, some like really fancy Ariel Collins or Toninas or some hard plants, or like I don't know, high growth chai, and you had a huge clump of it, maybe that'd be more impressive. But just for overall like good looking plant,
Yeah.
I would say
So
that's it.
one thing that I distinctly remember it was that there was no criteria that had anything to do with how difficult it was to grow the plant,
Yeah.
which is
Well, and
why
yeah.
water lettuce was in the top 3. I think it was second
Wow.
place.
Well, and look at the fish show. I mean, a minnow won best of show, and I mean, I'm sure people in chat know more than I do, even how it's not hard to keep a or breed along from white cloud. But the judges felt that was a great looking fish, and I didn't get to
Yeah.
see it. I barely got to look at.
Or Annette
Oh,
judging the snails, you would think she would be like a mystery snail would win, but actually,
yeah,
she knows snail shells enough to know that the
right,
mystery snails that were submitted, not so great.
right.
Other
But
things were like those
yeah,
big ass apple snails, like, yeah, they're big, but they still kind of look like crap. And then there was this Malaysian trumpet snail that just looked like perfection.
yeah, but if I'm gonna have like this clump of crypts and an equally attractive
Hmm.
but hard plant, I would probably give the edge to that. Just as you have to separate things somehow. But yeah, the
So,
crypt's a good looking clump.
so pardon the algae on the glass, but here's another one. This is Stargine repens. It is tall because it doesn't have access to as much light
Yeah,
as
I mean,
normal.
I would not score that really well because I don't think it's been trimmed into an attractive shape.
Right.
Because if you give that good light and CO2 and proper trimming, it can form really nice, low, compact bushes. So,
Yeah, but
no,
there's
I'm
not
just
a
not
whole
going to
bunch of
score it
distance
quite
between
as
the
high.
nodes, and like I would submit specimens without algae. And so then it's like
Yeah,
if you're bound by the rubric, then it's almost
I would
it's tough
not.
to
I don't know. I just wouldn't score that as high because I know that.
that's where I was facing the
Like,
challenge
I
of like
think that
because
like
I
this.
know.
Well, I mean, and that's why you're judging because you have that knowledge. I mean, I
Mhm.
think that part of being a good plant keeper is being good at trimming,
Yep.
and that could use a trim because I know that if you don't trim that soon, it's gonna look like crap.
Yeah, it'll lose the leaves on the lower nodes. It'll get really leggy, and then I'll just have to uproot all of it and retop.
Right. And Geek voices, I don't like your manscaping.
I don't either.
Well then, yeah. So I mean, but if it's against, it could still win depending on the competition. But I mean, of the plants I've seen thus far, I would give it
Mhm.
to the crypt clump.
Yep. And so, like the winner, so water lettuce, I think, was second place. The winner was just Anubias nana petite, and part of the reason that it was the winner is because I know that it takes
Yeah,
some time to grow a
yeah,
piece that big and to keep all of
yeah.
those
I
leaves
mean, I
completely free
have a
of
clump that's
spot
like
algae.
that big, and it's taken years. So yeah, I would award a good sized clump of that too because like when you buy it, you get like a piece the size of a quarter. Like
Mhm.
unless you really shell out hundreds of dollars, you're not getting a big clump.
Yeah.
So like it takes time.
And what Jenna says, something to consider here is that what may not be show quality doesn't mean that it's not attractive for your home tank and personal preferences.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean people can keep whatever you want. Like if you find staghorn algae attractive,
so
follow
that's why
your bliss,
I
you
put a
know?
disclaimer in the description for this stream that like yes, you probably have a lot of plants, as do I, that would not meet criteria for
So
show
do I.
quality.
I mean, there's some
But
real trash in this tank over here that I wouldn't enter. I
yeah,
mean,
but
and there's some stuff I would.
we're not judging you, we're judging plants. So
Yeah, and when you judge something, you judge just what's in front of you. You're not judging the person. You're not judging their aquarium. You're just judging what was chosen to be submitted. So I saw a question from Oinky.
Oh,
So she just auction purchased 2 tissue culture cups of Laganandra bleeding heart because it is labeled advanced. Should I prepare my heart to bleed with heartbreak of a pending plant death? I mean, I've not
possibly.
grown that, but you've grown Lagamandra meboldi, and it does melt back. So don't give up.
It's yeah, like the meatball DI can be a little fussy. It's very slow. I don't
Hmm.
have it. I have not tried it in anything non CO2, so I couldn't tell you how it
Yeah.
reacts. But I mean,
I
give it a
mean,
shot. Put it
yeah,
in your best, like give it the best chance that you can give it, whether that's CO2 or not. Put it in your best tank where things seem most balanced, plants are growing the
yeah.
best.
I think your water is pretty hard there, if I recall.
Hmm.
But I mean, it is a lot like growing a crypt. It will melt back, but it can come back. So don't give up. Um, I bought Stephen tissue cultures of Lagomandra meboldi for his plant farm because I wanted to share crop those because
Hmm.
I thought I'd buy him some and he'd grow them out and send them back. And he just gave up because, he thought they'd melted back and were gone. Well, came back. So, and it was months, right?
It was, yeah, like months, like long months. Like I wouldn't say it was quite a year, but man, it was a while. I thought they were gone, then suddenly a little bitty leaf comes out of there, and
Hmm.
once that first leaf comes in, things start picking up, but it's still
Yeah.
pretty slow. So June said, "Did I give everyone first place?" I wish I could.
Oh,
I really hate disappointing people.
I
That's
know.
it's a real problem with
You're
me, and so
you're not as judgmental as I am, I think.
I wanted, like, everyone got a high score except for the Java Fern, just because it made me mad because it was like, yeah, I bet you're really proud of this Java Fern. I'm like, but you need to be schooled.
Yeah, so Geek Boy says me boldy I can also be grown immersed. So you might be
Mhm.
able to get it to do well right at the top of the tank where it can
That's a
reach
good
out
idea.
of the water and pull CO2 from the room. That's a good idea. And immersed plants are beautiful and a fun new way to enjoy your hobby. So you can maybe divide it in two, try some each way.
So this is an example of a Java Fern that has been growing in low tech in the mosh pit the entire time and actually doesn't look
Doesn't
terrible.
look too bad. And is that trident or is that
Um,
regular? I can't
it's
tell.
regular.
Okay. Because if it were Trident, I would give it also a little edge because that one is a little slower,
Hmm.
a little more difficult. The narrow leaf one or the regular, they're much easier. They're very, I would say, pretty easy as plants go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad. It just doesn't look as good as I know that plant can look.
Right. So
You
that's
know.
the thing about judging something like this. It's like, well, if you're gonna, it doesn't have any leaves that look really terrible, kind of like this last one I showed. Like once I pruned off the leaves that suck, I wouldn't have much of anything left on this one. And this is also in the mosh pit, like not a foot away from it.
Yeah. I mean, this
Um,
one maybe comes with free guppies. I don't know if that's a
well,
help or a hindrance for your.
possibly some fry. You'll definitely get duckweed. That's a promise.
I mean, if I see duckweed entered, I mean, I'm gonna automatically downgrade that one. I'm sorry.
I couldn't. Yeah, I
Yeah,
wouldn't be able to do it.
there are
Um,
limits.
okay, so here's another crypt that I want to show. So yeah, this one's got
Oh
some
yeah,
algae on
that's the
it, but
one
like
I gave you. That's a slower growing crypt, but it looks pretty good, and that is what
what's it called? Ponditerifolia.
it's not that. It's the one that I got from Gary Lang, whose name I keep forgetting. And it's a rare one, and I can't. I've got to like actually write that name down and tell it to Myrtle because I can't seem
Oh,
to remember it.
well,
It's a
then that
rare crypt.
answers my question because I thought it was the same, and I've
Yeah.
gotten my crypts are just lost in a sea of crypts.
That is
So
not. That is that one rare crypt I got from Gary Lang, and that is how it is supposed to look.
okay, good.
And it's
It's
good
yeah, it's very
looking. It looks
broad
good.
leaves.
Yeah, it doesn't get super tall. It has Sedicus. No, no, that's a Humelimina. I cannot remember. I would have to look it up. But no, that is how it's supposed to look. It's pretty good. It is not the world's. It doesn't really form giant clumps. It kind of runs a little more. It's pretty good looking. But the judge may not know that plant. It's not a common crypt, so I don't know.
And
But
so,
I
yeah,
know it because
so
I gave it to you.
June asking, does that plant supposed to have bumps? So I wonder, like, yeah, if a judge
Yeah,
didn't know what that was and they looked at it and they would think, oh, this looks like maybe
yeah.
it has a deficiency.
It's slightly we call that bulliform leaves.
Hmm.
I don't know of any deficiency that would cause bulliform leaves, but a lot of crypts have that sort of crenation to them. I mean, it's in a crypt, it's a pretty healthy thing. Nathan's
So
not a plant question, but needs small help.
yeah,
No planaria comes with small scoop spoon thingy. However, I got mine secondhand and don't have the scooper. What size is that scooper? 5 mils larger. Thanks. I've never used this product. Have you?
yeah, I have, but I don't like. I borrowed it from Brooklyn, and I think she has it back now, so I can't even go look and see. But
Yeah.
June has offered to do that, so hopefully
Okay,
June
that's
can
good. I was
help.
gonna say someone in the chat hopefully can help because I have rainbows. I'll never have planaria. They'll eat them. Oinky says, "Thank you so much for the advisement. I figured winning each cup at $2.50 per tissue culture will be worth the experiment." That's a steal. That's a great price. I mean, those are usually like $10. So, hopefully it will work, but otherwise you're out $5. I mean,
Hmm.
that's not bad. So
Yeah, Mick, and that's what I thought it was Pontiterifolia,
it's
because
not.
I was going to compare that with the three big broadleaves I've got, and there's like another young one coming up. But then I've got like
Cebu.
this one over here in the
Yeah,
corner,
it's
which
crypt
has
something something Cebu, Sibu.
okay.
Yeah.
Now I know this one is Ponditerifolia because
Yes.
Myrtle sent this to me
Mhm.
and is like exploded, and the
That's a
leaves have
nice
nice color,
That's a
and
nice
yeah,
clump. Yeah, that's a good looking clump. Yeah, you could definitely enter that, and I think you would do well. It's a good looking clump.
yep. And let's see. Then I've got like so stem plants. I would have a hard time entering because I don't maintain my stem plants like they're supposed to
Yeah,
be.
I would not
This is
enter
what
those. They're
happens,
really kind of leggy. The internodes are long. They don't
right?
show signs of good trimming. Yeah, I guess if I were you, I would just not enter your stems. I would enter your crypts.
Yeah, like I was looking at stem plants and I realized I don't have a single stem plant that I would feel right entering. That like
Yeah, and I
see,
wouldn't
so this is
either.
like
I guess I have some alternateras that
Scarlet
could be
Temple, but
entered.
even then, like,
Yeah.
do I get points off because of the aerial
I
roots?
mean, they do just form aerial roots.
They do.
That is, I mean, even under the best conditions, it's what they do. So I would not offer that. I remember Green Aqua. They did an aquascape. It was really beautiful. It was to look like a maple tree, a sugar maple, which in the fall gets really, really red. And they had those like tied to driftwood. And it
Hmm.
looked great, but they were trimming off those aerial roots every 2 days, which is maddening.
I'm not gonna do that.
No, I'm not going to eat
Like,
it for it. Yeah.
like
So,
I
I
don't
mean,
even do the proper maintenance on regular stem plants. I just kind of let them do
well, and
whatever,
they
and
and
they.
they found it unsustainable too because it was a big
Mm.
tank, and even though they have a maintenance crew, there's limits. That's a good looking crypt. I mean, I can't see it up close necessarily. Oh, that's pretty good. That Rosenberg.
Yeah,
That's a good looking clump.
Rosen Maiden.
Rosen Maiden. Sorry, Rosen Maiden. That's a good looking clump. That's a show quality clump.
And let's see. Did I take another picture of it somewhere else? Maybe not. Oh, but this one, this is just more crypts that I don't even know what they are anymore because they're in the crypt tank and they're all mixed together.
Yeah,
But I'm
and
thinking,
I don't know. I kind of feel like to enter a show, like at minimum, you need to
you
know what
gotta
you're
know what you're
entering.
entering.
Yeah, you can't. If I saw someone entered something as like unidentified plant,
Wait, well,
I don't
unidentified
know.
score.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too. I mean, like if you just enter something as unidentified fish, you know, Mickham says, okay, a lot of undescribed crypts. I remember an Asian blogger taking photos from every place he visited over there. So many to choose from, and some might perhaps be variants of the same species. Yeah, crypts are tricky, and sometimes you
Hmm.
need to flower them to actually know what they are. So
Yeah.
it's tricky. The only reason I knew from that other one is because I gave that to Stephen, so it's pretty familiar.
And I forgot who gave it to me and where it
Bacopa.
came from because it was basically nothing for several months, and then
It probably
it
melted back, and you
mhm.
were just setting up your whole crypt tank, and
Yeah,
it all got mixed up, and it happens.
yeah.
And I keep forgetting the name of it, and
The
yeah,
plan with that was like I had a bunch of tissue cultures and pots and stuff, and I planted everything in various places, knowing that some are going to get too tall for where I put them and whatnot, and I was going to have to shuffle them around. And I totally lost the names of most of them, except for the obvious ones that are easy to distinguish for me.
yeah. So it looks like June has found. She has said it's a quarter teaspoon.
Okay,
June coming through in the clutch. We
nice.
go, June. That's awesome. Fish fam helping fish fam. So Foxy
Crips
says
are
crypt
also
also the perfect Halloween plant.
yeah,
Hmm, I would say that is true. They're nice and spooky. So here's a Bacopa. It's
yep.
pretty easy to get Bacopas looking like that. It's
Hmm.
not, but not that it looks bad. I'm just Bacopas are easy plants.
Right, that's the thing. Like, if
Um,
I was going to compare a stem plant, this might be my best stem plant, just because I don't
Probably.
need
I
to
mean,
do a lot with it.
I think it depends on like what size of clump you entered, how long
Right.
it was. I mean, if you enter like 1 4-inch piece, that's not very impressive. But if you
No.
have a nice clump that's like 16 inches or something, you know, maybe. I don't know. It depends what the competition is. I know that that's a dead easy plant, but that doesn't mean it couldn't win. Just depends.
Yep. I mean, just like the water lettuce, the leaves were like perfect. There was absolutely no flaw in the leaves, and the roots were super long and flowy. And, you know, I could not mark off too many points.
Yeah.
Other than I know that water lettuce can get bigger than that
Yeah. I mean,
after some time.
water lettuce really grows to the size of the tank or pond. I mean, a
Yeah.
friend of mine gave me a water lettuce from his pond, and it was that big. And then
Yeah.
I put it in a little tub pond, and it was that big. Then I put in an aquarium, and it looked like little tiny little leaflets. So I don't think there's such a thing as water lettuce.
So
It's
what if
all
you
the same.
saw as part of a submission a plant that you recognize, but like it some sort of tomfoolery has happened in order to make that plant just look way bigger and more colorful than, say, like even half of a percent of the aquatic plant keeping population could
Oh,
even
I
hope
mean,
to achieve.
I would downgrade it. I mean, if I don't know what kind of tomfoolery you're suggesting. Like, did they
I don't
paint it
know.
green? I mean,
No, not cheating, but like I don't know. I really don't know what kind of things you can do, like how people grow those overgrown pumpkins. I don't know if it's like some kind of hormone thing or if it's just
well,
like
no, I mean those
selective.
overgrown pumpkins. There's no trickery there. It's just
It's
like
just selective
great.
breeding or
Well, it's I mean,
selective growing.
well, one, it's good genetics, so they are using proven seeds, and then two, like they pick
Mhm.
one strong vine and they cull all the other pumpkins from it, and then they fertilize it like crazy, and they water it like crazy, and it's just showing a lot of love to one pumpkin.
So I could like
So
get just the best guppy grass specimen and just focus on guppy grass.
I don't know. I mean, there's only so good guppy grass can look,
Yeah,
and it's like you could grow a great looking Java fern with way less difficulty because you have CO2. You could grow a great looking. I mean, I removed whole trash bags of oh, what's that plant? You know what
uh,
I'm talking about. I've given it to so
a
many
lot of
people.
things
I've
like
like literally trash bags, and I sent a trash bag of it to Johnny.
So, bulbitis.
Bulbous. Yeah. I mean, if you have CO2, it's just an out of control plant. But people get super impressed with that. Didn't it go for like crazy money at the auction? And it was like one leaf of it. I
Well,
have
it was a modest bag of it that I could probably pull out of my 90 and it wouldn't look like I did anything.
I know.
And it went for
I
like
have pulled out
$38.
immodest portions. I mean, literal trash bags. Like I didn't, because I thought about that. Maybe I should enter some Bulbadus and sell it, but I'm like, I have no way to package it. That's because like there are rules on packaging things. I literally
Mhm.
have to put it in a trash bag. So Geek Boy says water lettuce, like fish, will only grow to the size of the container they are put in. You know how we talked at the beginning of the stream about how you can come to Fishfam for good information?
Sometimes
There's
there's
some of
bad
it.
information.
There's some of it. Janice says, how would a Socarno sword be judged if it was a nice specimen?
If it was like nice and red and all the
Didn't have
leaves
any
were like
pinholes. It wasn't rasped
pleco munching
on. But
free, yeah.
I mean, I judge what's in front of me. I also know like the potential of a Socarno sword. So
Mhm.
it better look pretty good because it's really vigorous. I mean,
If
it's
you saw a
beautiful.
Sukarno sword with a shoot and some baby swords coming out of it, would that be extra points or would that be like
No,
you should have trimmed that off?
I think I would want it trimmed off because
It's not benefiting the sword, it's leaching nutrients.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think also for aesthetic reasons, I think I'd trim it off.
One potted plant, one at the clash, Scotty.
I was not judging, so
So his jungle val won because he had it growing, I guess, like highlight high CO2. He took all of it together and put it in a big, like, I don't know, like that big around pot, all clumped together. And it was clean and the leaves looked good. And so
I mean, I wasn't there judging it. Who's to say what I would have thought, Scotty?
I
Who's
don't
to
know.
say? I didn't even see it. I didn't have a time. I did see some of the fish. I did go over and look at the rainbows because I wanted to make sure to see them. But I don't know how many plants were even entered. Like if water
6.
lettuce was one of, yeah, I mean, honestly, not a lot of competition.
So I can probably
So
name what they were. So there was the Anubias nana petite, the Java fern, the water lettuce, the the jungle val, and then there was a what was called a tiger lily and a red tiger lotus.
huh. Yeah. I don't know. It depends on how they look. Jenna says, but there was no substrate. So it seems like the plants should be in pots. So at the least they look like. No, I mean, this way I can judge the root system. Like, do they have nice, healthy roots? I mean, I know what they're going to
Yeah.
look like growing out. I can
So
tell.
that's the other thing is so there was no lighting for the plants in the
Mm.
show. So as a judge, they're like, here's a flashlight
Oh,
and a little poker stick so that I guess you can either use it to like harass a fish to make it swim, or I was using it to like ruffle through the leaves
it feels like
and
a plant
just
you should be able to just pick up. I mean,
I wanted to be respectful. I didn't want to reach my hands in tanks and
yeah.
potentially cause any issue. Not that I think it would with a plant, but I wonder, are there certain plants that maybe would not be ideal to bring because let's say Jenna and I got there on Tuesday night. We'll probably get there early like we did next year. So I'm traveling with a plant and then I'm putting it somewhere until it's time to actually put it in the show tanks when those are filled.
Yeah, I don't know if I would bring a big clump of like Crypticorn Wentii. It melts
Right.
really easy,
Yeah, that's what I was
and the
worried
show
about.
water is going to be pretty different. Like if I give
Hmm.
you Crypticorn Wentii, I don't think it would melt back so much because
Probably not.
we have a similar KH, not a similar GH though.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I usually mineralize to that GH, but in some tanks, I put even more, like the guppy tank.
Scotty would like you to touch his plants with his pole. Is that what I'm reading?
Okay,
Wait.
only
Anyway,
use your pole to touch.
is that what I just read?
It's like a little harassment stick, basically what they gave me.
You
I
could
was
also
judging
use it to
Corey's
harass
too.
fellow judges. I mean, You know, Ted Coletti was
Like,
over there judging
hey,
fish.
do
Poke him
something.
a little bit. Ew, Ted.
I didn't
So
get a chance to talk to Ted. He was everywhere.
he's a man about town. I mean, I got to be on the panel with him, which was super
Hmm.
fun. Um, I wish I had spent. I mean, I don't know. I just didn't get to spend time with a lot of people. I wanted to. I didn't get to hang out with Dee Dee hardly at all, and I wanted to hang out with Dee Dee.
Yeah,
I got to spend time with you and Jenna because we went out to lunch. I got to spend time with Annette because we went out to lunch. To spend time with Dan because we went out to dinner. Otherwise, it was just
nice.
bits here and there. So
So here's a tidbit I didn't know. You can bring your water for the show. So
I think you can. I don't know. That's
no, Jenna
Jenna
said
said
yeah.
yes.
Scotty said yeah. That Minnie
Yeah.
did, and so Geek's like, there you go. Just ship 10 gallons of water for your plants.
I mean, if you're really committed, it's a thing you can do, I guess.
So Misa says, when I say mineralized, do I use RO for all my tanks? I don't, but my tap water is weird. If the city did not add what I think is sodium carbonate, like soda ash, to it, to it buffer like 7 degrees of soda ash, it would almost be RO. It has some chloramines, it has a little bit of
Right.
phosphate, and not much else. It has 0 GH.
Yeah.
So
Which
like
you
my
do need
parents down the
pH
road,
for
half an
plants.
hour. Yeah, exactly. My parents down the road, they have the same water without the buffer in it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I have to mineralize because fish need it, plants need it.
Yeah.
I spend $10 a month mineralizing my tanks. I did the math and it sucks.
Yeah. I mean, it's KH that's nice if it's low. So
Yeah.
if you're lucky enough, but if you have like RO water out of the tap like Bentley does, he actually raises his KH too. Makes him happy. You don't need to. But
It depends on how often he wants to change his water. It might be
yeah, I
helpful.
mean, you do need to really keep on top of your water changes if that's a thing you want to do. But you
Right.
don't have to. Your fish and your plants will be fine with 0 kh. Fish and plants are not going to be as happy with 0 GH.
Nah, they need it for the
Yeah, and
osmo
especially
regulation.
your live bearers, right, Stephen? Your guppies, they
Yeah.
really need it. So,
So
and don't
this
you
is
mineralize those a little higher than your other tanks? Your
yeah,
mom
the live
did.
bearers. I don't I'm not like super precise with it, but if it's got at least 10 degrees GH, then I'm happy. I'm fine with that. Which it kind of works out to those can be 200 to 300 ppm, and I'm not so worried about the fluctuations in GH. I just want it to be there in most tanks.
Yeah. So, and Annette and Dee Dee both like Jake. I'm glad he liked you guys too.
Jake is
So,
awesome.
he had a good time.
That's good.
Yeah. So, that's
And Geek's out of here, getting back from the office.
on
So
to your
this is what I am to believe is dwarf sag, but you can see that some of it is dwarfy and other is not so much.
That is what the Sagittarius, the dwarf Sag, do, which is why when everybody says, "Oh yeah, it's this great foreground for low tech plants," I'm like, I don't know if your definition of foreground is something that is 12 inches tall.
Yep, it can do that. And enough light, it'll stay low, but like on the fringes here where there's not as much light, you can see it starts to reach up. So
Yeah.
if you saw a plant like that where the leaves still looked really good, but it was just tall, is that points off just because you know that it can be short?
Yes. Yes. Because it's not growing in ideal conditions. So
Mhm.
June asks, what about the plants tells you to add ferts? Well, it's different for every plant, but I look for like pinholing,
Ye-
browning, or it's
Browning.
yellowing, it's low in iron. It kind of depends on the
So
plant.
there's a deficiency chart,
And it's
which,
garbage. It's not even correct. It's not even correct. It's no
well,
plant physiologist made that chart.
doesn't
It's
it
just
say
doesn't.
browning is nitrogen though? I think it's right about that part. But
But
it'll
like
say like stunted growth could
iron
be.
deficiency, iron deficiency is
Mhm.
chlorosis, which is where you see like yellow veining.
Right. And they will say the same thing. Like they'll say it's micro deficiency if the growth is too small, which it could also just be light. Like
Or
could
not
be
enough
like
CO2. I mean, like if you're
something.
growing Monte Carlo and it's too small, it is for sure a CO2 issue. So it's just time of observing your plants and kind of getting to know them. But if you have bad or ugly growth, it probably needs something. And if it's leggy, it could be light. Maybe it's not getting enough light.
Yeah.
If it's not turning red like you hoped it could, maybe it's not enough light. If the
Mhm.
leaves are tiny, maybe it wants more CO2. I mean, and if you don't do CO2, well, maybe it's just, you should choose another species because it's not never going to be as happy as it could.
Right. It just means
Um,
like it's in your water, it's not absorbing the nutrients that it could be
yeah,
because, of your buffer or whatever.
yeah.
Um so Coro says potassium deficiency and overdose look pretty similar in terrestrial plant. What does overdose of potassium look like in a plant? Because
They shut them.
I
It says overdose. It's like too much osmotic stress on it. It would be the curled leaves.
really because
Yeah,
I
and in a
have
water plant, an
tanks where
aquatic plant,
the
it's gonna look different.
I have tanks where the potassium level is not readable by a freshwater potassium test because it's included in the GH boost. And
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And the thing is deficiencies can look different for every species, and not every species is going to show the same deficiencies. So that's why when I see that chart, I'm like, who made this chart? Like everybody always repeats this chart, and they always it has no source on it. It's just something. It's like a
true.
meme. It's like a meme. It's plant physiology by meme.
Did Tom Barr make one? Does he
I
have one
don't
of his own?
recall one, but if I saw a Tom Barr one, I would maybe believe it because he is a plant physiologist.
Hmm.
The
But yeah,
research into deficiencies on terrestrial plants is much, much better than on aquarium plants. I'm sure that surprises no one because there are so many
right.
more. I mean, and there are more economically relevant terrestrial plants than,
Hmm.
the Java fern you're growing in your tank. But a lot of it is just experience over time, just looking at your plants and seeing what they need. But there are a few plants that I do look for as just kind of just bellwethers. For me, like when my Java ferns look shitty, they just need more of everything.
Right.
If my Monte Carlo is tiny, it needs more CO2. If my Alternanthera renickii is melting, it's because there's no CO2. It's just certain things. So,
Yep. So Big Cat, which freshwater potassium test do I use? It's the Salifert,
oh, we've got that
and
one.
good luck finding it. The freshwater. Let's see. I think
I
maybe
have
Aqua
the
Cave.
AP. I have the
No,
API one. I don't know how accurate
API
it
has
is.
a potassium test.
They no, sorry, scratch that. I have the phosphate one. I have the API
Okay, yeah.
phosphate
The
one.
potassium
Yeah,
test, the freshwater potassium test is an elusive thing. And
yeah.
I've been able to buy it twice and I haven't looked for it recently, but I know like 8 out of 10 times that I'll look for it, it's sold out. And they just
I
have the
mean,
saltwater one, which
yeah, and
you
I
can't use a saltwater one because it's like super high range, which your freshwater will
right.
not have.
Yeah, I mean, your tank's in trouble if you have that range of potassium.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen that one for sale either because API doesn't make one. You're right. I have the phosphate one.
Hmm. I'm looking it up
I,
right now to see if it's available.
it's
East.
unfortunate because it is a macronutrient. I would like to test for. I like to at least know the baseline levels in my tap water, which is why I bought the phosphate one. But yeah, it's not available. I think because keepers don't care.
Okay, so just googling it, it's never like on Amazon or even like a site like Bulk Reef Supply, well known site. It's
Hmm.
always on some random site I've never heard of until I find this potassium kit. This time it's East Ocean Aquatic.
Hmm.
It looks to be $10, which is good because I've paid 20 plus for it before.
That's
But it
pretty
says
cheap.
low stock here out, but I cannot vouch for this company. No idea who they
And
are.
who knows if it's expired? I mean,
Yep, know nothing about this company and
yeah.
the products they sell, but this is one that I found. I posted the link, but that is not an endorsement.
Is Austin streaming tonight?
Oh, let me see. In any case, I still have work to do anyway, so
I
I
know,
think
and I'm really worn out. My allergies have been really bad lately, and I'm not coughing right now, but just I'm very ramped up with the allergies. So,
yeah,
but thank you, everyone. This has been very nice. Cool having some
indeed.
new people in chat,
Yep.
and
Happy to be back to streaming and
yeah. And I won't be here next week, but I'll be with Roxanne and Brian.
nice. Maybe you'll stream from there.
No, we
Not at
won't.
all.
I mean, it's
Okay.
not gonna happen. I mean, I'll be too busy hanging out with their dog.
Nice.
So, but I'll be back the week after. I'm going to not travel until December.
Good plan.
Yeah, I need to stay home.
So
Some.
yeah, thanks to our awesome mods and lurkers and chatters and
Yeah,
our members and replay crew as well. And
yeah,
so for Wet Your Plants, depending on how Myrtle's feeling, next week, we'll definitely
yeah.
this Friday from Extreme we'll be back and we'll have what the fish drawings
I
from
mean, you
people from the
could also
Clash.
have a special guest. Maybe Zenny will join you. Yeah, how
Yeah,
great
I
would
think
that be?
I don't think Zinni is really in streaming condition at the moment.
No. Oh, I know, because she's at the dentist.
Yeah.
Tough times. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Mike, All Things Fish, could join you. Someone could join you other than me. Because,
Yep.
like, yeah, if Myrtle, oh, yeah, but I hope Myrtle feels better because
Hmm.
this bug has been tough on him. So we hope you feel better soon, Myrtle. But yes,
So
thank you, everyone. And I will see you
thanks.
all in 2 weeks, and I'll see you in the streams. So
Indeed. See y'all later.
bye,
Bye.
everyone.